Okay, Breadwinner came about really towards the end of the project. As a matter of fact, at the point in time that Breadwinner came to my mind, the project essentially in my mind was done as far as what songs were going to be on this. So before Breadwinner came along, it was only supposed to be 13 tracks. It actually was supposed to go from Nothing to Lose straight into In My Zone. There was actually, Breadwinner wasn't even thought of yet, so at this point in time, as I was waiting on getting everything else done, I was in the process of mixing, the rest of the songs. This is when I was still waiting for NTG to finish Decisions. I started making some beats, and one night, I just felt it in my spirit to just make a beat, you know what I'm saying? So I sat down in front of the computer, and I started making a beat, you know what I'm saying? And that's basically what ended up being Breadwinner, So just to show you guys like how this beat even came about, the first thing that I got was really this loop, right? It's a loop that I found from Looperman. And Looperman, is really cool because Looperman, they give you, free loops and things like that. And it's just things to play with, royalty free and things like that. So this part of it is actually what I got from Looperman. And it's really just that piano piece. Right? Now, at first, I was just going to use it as an ideal and kind of just redo the whole thing because it's really simple. But I was like, you know what? I kind of like I guess there was a reverb that was put on it, on the loop. So I was like, you know what? I'm just going to keep this loop as it is, even though I couldn't redo it. I'm just going to keep it as it is and then build on top of this because I kind of like the sound of it. And again, this was during the night that I was just making beats. Breadwinner wasn't a thought yet. This was just me literally just making beats because I felt like I wasn't making any beats anymore. I was so stuck on finishing verses and getting everything mixed and mastered. I missed making beats. So this was the first beat that I made after, or during the finishing up of the project. So the next thing that I ended up doing was the guitar. Now, I absolutely had so much fun building this guitar because I built this guitar to what you hear it as today. So if I were just to take this guitar as is, by its default, this is what it sounds like. So what I ended up doing is I ended up just adding pedals to it. All right. Now, if you don't know what pedals are, all right, pedals are for those of you who know, guitars and things like that. Pedals are these things that is basically the thing that you see the guitarist steps on, when they want to turn on an effect. But these are effects that you add to a guitar, right? So cool thing about, Logic and these programs is they have tons of, presets, and these are all the pedals that comes with Logic initially, right? So when it came to making these beats, all I did was I just went through a bunch of them, and I just saw what made the best combination. So I ended up having this to start with, right? Then I added some effects outside of the pedals, which gave it this sound. Right? And then you guys might not hear that too well. It's kind of low, so let me turn it up. And then I ended up adding these pedals. And it ended up giving me this sound right here. You see how, right? And this is what I had without the pedals, right? This is just with the effects that I had. Once I added the pedals, I started to get some craziness, which ended up being this. You hear that? Now this one really made a change. Right? And then this one. Right? Now I gave it like some type of space, just all of these. And this is what it ended up being as the finale. The same piano or the same guitar, but this ended up being the final version. So now you take that and you put it with the piano and you get this. Right? And from this point, I was like, all right, I'm not going to do too much more to this. I'm pretty much just going to add some drums because I absolutely love the way this sounds right now. So let me not add anything else to it to mess it up, right? So I ended up just adding, I found this drum loop right here, which was actually really, really dope, right? And this drum loop, it was just straight to the point. It was just really, really simple. And this drum loop went like this. By itself. You know, and I typically don't use drum loops. As you can see with all my other beats, I build my drums out. But this drum loop just fits it so well. I was like, I had to keep it. Like, why make life harder for myself, right? So I ended up keeping the drum loop, and I ended up putting it together with the guitar and the piano loop, and it ended up giving me this really, really dope sound. Which is what we know today as Breadwinner. Now, from this point, it was just a matter of just adding some other fun instruments to, you know, kind of just give it some more diversity so that it wasn't plain. So that what I ended up adding to it from that point was some violins, because of course I like natural instruments. And when the violin came in, it comes in, I believe, you know, what is this? After the fourth bar of the verse. So now, let me quiet these so you guys could really hear the violin. Right? Now, when I did the violin, I was like, the violin is cool, but let me add some bass to that violin for those parts. And just to give it, you know, just some seriousness, some epicness to it, right? So I ended up first adding the fretless bass guitar, and I ended up getting this. And I ended up absolutely just like loving that. I was just like, yo, this sounds dope. But it still was missing something. So what I ended up doing is I ended up just playing with the bass some more. And then I ended up just adding a whole nother sub bass to that fretless bass. And I ended up getting this right here. And it just made it so much more powerful, right? So then I was like, that's it. That's the sound that I was looking for. That's the sound that I needed, right? So then, of course, once I added it to everything else, it just ended up created what we know today as Breadwinners. Right? Now, from this point, it was just a matter of figuring out what this song is actually going to be about. So I remember, man, it was like, I would say it was around 12:30 by the time I got to this point, right? So 12:30, I was like, yo, it's a dope beat. All right. I'm kind of feeling tired, but I'm having so much fun with this beat. Let me keep doing it. So as I'm listening to it, that's when I start hearing the melody. Na 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 na. Once I heard that, I was like, oh, no, I got to keep working. I got to keep working. Looks like I'm just going to be here for a couple. Next thing I know, the beat is looped over and over. And I'm sitting there and I'm writing the whole thing, man. The whole hook came. And then right after the hook came, the verse came. And then the second verse came. And I'm like, yo, this thing is coming together so fast, man. So I was just like, I might as well just lay it down. I mean, why not? You know, I just lay it down. So I end up going into the booth, laying down the whole song. I literally laid down the whole song. At this point, it's probably like 1:30-ish, almost 2 o'clock-ish. And the last thing I ended up adding to it was this little part for the chorus, which was the daylight piano, which is like, no, it's the end of the verse, but here it's just, I felt like it just gave just that part of the verse just a meaning to it, and that's this sound right here. Right? And now it's kind of creepy, you know what I'm saying? But at the same time, when you put it with everything, it kind of sounded dope, and I stopped everything else and I created this little loop with the guitar right here. This kind of end off with the guitar so that it would kind of go into this so you could hear this part and not hear the guitar, and then bring the guitar back at the hook. So the end of the verse sounds like this. Right? See how that guitar ended over here? And then when the hook comes back in, it comes back. You know what I'm saying? So once I did that, going into the girl, he a breadwinner and all of that stuff, literally I was done with this by, I would say roughly around 3. So I started making the beat. Now again, mind you, the intentions was just to make a beat. By the time I was done, I had a full song ready. And I was like, I love this song. I need to put it in the album. So the hardest part about this was figuring out where I was going to place it in the album. Because again, at this point, I already had everything set. I had my 13 tracks, and I was adamant to stay on 13 tracks. I don't know why. In my mind, I just wanted 13. They say 13 is a heavenly number and things like that. But I was like, I really like this song. So either something else is going to have to go, or I'm going to have to do 14 tracks. So I sat there, I listened to all the tracks. I was like, okay, something's got to go. Something's got to go. Then I'm like, no, nothing's going. I'm just going to have 14 tracks. Forget the whole 13 theory. It's not going to end with 13. It's going to be 14 tracks. So be it. But then I guess my way of kind of just like accepting it, I was like, you know what? The past interlude is an interlude, so that's not really a song, right? The intro isn't really a song. So really and truly, if I add breadwinners, I really only have 12 songs. So 12 disciples, so that'll work. But then Closer came, and Closer is kind of outro, and it's not really a song, but it is a song. But it's just me making sense, trying to make sense of the numbers. At the end of the day, I was like, I love Breadwinners. It's going to have to be on the album because it's just dope. I just love how it came together. And Breadwinners is literally the fastest song that I did total, from beat to finish. I literally did this all in one night. In a couple of hours. I think I started around 11ish, and I ended around 3. So yeah, and so I made this whole song in 5 hours from beat to the end of recording. I never had to, touch it up again or re-record everything. The recording you hear on Breadwinners is the same recording I did that night. I literally did it all in one go, and I was absolutely happy with it. So it came together, and that's why it also ended up being the last single for the album, because again, I had no intentions of it to even be on the album. But once it came together, I released it as a single, made a music video for it, and the rest was history. But Breadwinners was definitely an interesting track because, like I said, it wasn't planned. It was just one night of me just wanting to make beats again, and it ended up being an additional song. That's just the beauty of making music, you feel me?